Does Starfield have a problem with player homes? Time to talk about it. Now, we're going to talk about Starfield, and we're going to approach a topic that could be rather difficult and hard to overcome if we're not aware of it in advance. Now, the way Bethesda games work is you tend to make locations. You walk into those locations via doors. Those locations might look like a starship, might look like a hovel, might look like a cave, but they always work the same way. I'm expecting Bethesda's starships to work the same way. Trouble is, how many starships can you own at one time? Because if it's one, then you might have a problem. Because where do you put all that junk you accumulate when you're buying a new ship? Because whatever's in the old ship would need to be automatically transferred across, or you'd have to move it manually. But where do you put it if you're moving it manually? Do you just dump it on the side and then move it to the new ship? Anyhow, there are solutions. There are definitely solutions. But we're going to talk about the solutions right now. Now, if we're to look at Starfield itself and the container system in all of Bethesda games, if they mark the containers Starship containers and those were shared between all ships, then putting items in one container would also put them in every single ship that had that container. That would solve the problem. That would mean every ship in the game, whether you brought it or not, would contain all your items. Problem solved. If they don't do that, then it does become a problem. It becomes a problem where you move your stuff to, how you get it, or limit what you can carry entirely in a game where people like to hoard things. As for the starships themselves, I do expect them to be rooms with animations triggered by you choosing to sit in the pilot's chair, leave the ship, land the ship, travel to certain locations. I would expect if you, for instance, sit down in the pilot's chair, you'd see the animation you see in the video, the trailers, and then from that point on, when you'll start clicking away, it'll pop up with a navigation screen. That's what I'm expecting, right? And then when you click on there where you want to go, there'll be a short whoosh animation, and then a landing animation, and then you'll be stand up from the chair and you'd walk back into your room. That's the kind of thing I'm expecting. I'm not expecting to physically fly ships around and stuff like that. If we do, brilliant, but I'm not expecting it. Because let's face it, right, this is about exploration, more about space combat. Nobody's mentioned space combat yet. So I'm not expecting to see that. We might see, spaceships being attacked in space, and then people storming in the ship, via the door. And there might be a short animation to show that happening. In fact, people could probably mod it. I could probably mod it, So you get people popping into the house. Well, sorry, not the house, the starship, to try and take it over and capture you. And then lock you up for a bit and you have to escape. I mean, that's a potential mod right there if this Bethesda don't do it. But if they don't do it, fair enough. But at very least, it's a house that moves from planet to planet with animations that land. That's what I'm expecting. It might take a bit of the shine off of it, but that's all it needs. At the end of it, that's all it needs. It's how they present them concepts that make it work or not work. And I think it's quite easy to make it work. Because every time you enter a door, a starship door, it could automatically trigger the correct animation. Have you just walking in, maybe to your pilot's seat or wherever else, In fact, the animation we see, in the trailers we've seen so far could in fact be the animation used for entering a ship and taking off. You never know, because a lot of the people say, well, we haven't seen any gameplay footage yet, but Bethesda tend to use the same kind of animations to advertise their games as we see when we're playing the games. They don't tend to make it too far off from the game's graphics, if you know what I mean. A lot of the time it's using the game engine itself to generate the animation. They just recorded it. So you can probably say for certain that the animations you get, the graphics you get, is going to be fairly close to what we will see in the game, in the final product. At least that's what I would expect. Anyhow, in the meantime, if you want more on Starfield and more, things that, the modders can do, ideas and things like that, and you want to see what can be done when the game's released, remember to subscribe to the channel, because I am one of Bethesda's most prolific independent mod makers, and I've got my eye on Starfield. So if you want mods for Starfield, quest mods, the epic adventures, maybe even pirate clans and all kinds of stuff, tune in, subscribe, and I'll be there. See you later.